All right, fourth graders. So now that you have hopefully listened to the read aloud of chapter 4 for A Number of the Stars, we are going to look at today's lesson, the work that you're going to be doing while you read your assigned pages from your book club book. So I have here our learning target for today. So today what we are working on doing in our books is to look for parts of the story that are worth pausing over and to ask what they're really about. Like, why did they seem so important that we needed to pause? Right? So here are some things to look for that suggest that you might be at a part of the story that's worth thinking about, right? Because distance learning is a perfect time actually to be working on this skill because your teacher isn't there to be reading your book with you and say, oh, did you hear that? That seemed important. So your job is to decide yourself when a part of your book seems important. So some clues that suggest that it might be an important spot to stop and think about what you just read is to notice if an image or a word is repeated often. Maybe it might be a symbol of something bigger. So they have here a cupcake. So I'm guessing that they're thinking about the symbol of the cupcake in the book. That keeps coming up. And so maybe we need to stop and think about why that's important. They also say to notice if something catches you by surprise and stands out. Think, why might the author have put this surprising part? So why did the author include that? And the last thing is to notice if a new insight dawns on a character. So if the character suddenly realizes something and says, oh, then that might also be an important part of your story to stop and think about. So today we are working on book club day 4. So you should be in your packet for Thursday, May 13th. And you are going to use this page in that book club packet to answer your question. So the question asks what part of your book club book has stood out to you, which part has seemed really important, like you needed to pause and think about it, and then why do you think it stood out? What makes that part seem like it's so important? So we're going to be doing this thinking about a part in Number of the Stars that when I read, I said, you know what? That really seems to me like we need to stop and think here about what this is really about. It just stood out to me as really important. So here is that part, and I'll reread it to you before I start talking about it. So it says, but why the button shop? What harm is a button shop? Miss Hirsch is such a nice lady. Even Samuel, he's a dope. But he would never harm anyone. How could he? He can't even see with his thick glasses. Then Anne-Marie thought of something else. If they can't sell their buttons, how will they earn a living? Friends will take care of them, Mama said gently. That's what friends do. That right there is the part that seemed really important to me, that when I read that, something just kind of like, oh, okay. Anne-Marie nodded. Mama was right, of course. Friends and neighbors would go to the home of the Hirsch family and would take them fish and potatoes and bread and herbs for making tea. Maybe Peter would even take them a beer. They would be comfortable until their shop was allowed to open again. So when I read this, I read that part about friends taking care of each other because that's just what they do. And that seemed to really stand out to me. And then when Anne-Marie kept thinking about it, I said, oh, you know what? Something new, this new insight is dawning on her. She's realizing that this is important, that friends take care of friends. That's her, aha moment. So I have filled it out, this page, for my book club book. And so what I said is, what part of your book has stood out to you and why? Said a part in Number of the Stars that stood out to me and seemed important was when Anne-Marie and her mom were talking about looking out for the Hirsch family, because that's what friends do. This seems important to me, and I think it is Anne-Marie having a new insight or realization. I think that Anne-Marie is realizing that because this war was going on, people had to take care of each other and look out for each other in order to survive. And it made her think about if she would be able to protect her friends. I think that maybe later on in the book, she will have to protect her friends from getting hurt. So I think that maybe that's why the author included this moment that really stood out. It's supposed to be this aha moment of, oh yeah, like friends take care of each other, right? And so when you go to do this work on your own, I don't want you to stress out about which part of your book you choose. Whenever you stop and think, oh, maybe this is what I want to write about, there's a reason that that seems important to you, and I want you to think about, why does that seem so important? So it could be a part from your book that you're reading today, from the assigned part today, and if nothing stands out to you today, then think back in your reading, and if there's a part that you really remember and really stands out to you, then that might be a good part to choose to write about as well, because every part of your book is there for a reason, and so you have to decide what part is really important to you. That's not something that your teacher or your peers can decide for you. So when you go to do this work today, you can look back at this video, you can read my answer, and you can go back. I'll leave it on this page here at the end of the video so that you can use this chart and think about, okay, which part here is really important and really worth thinking about, and decide if it's one of these three things. So good luck today getting this work done on your own, fourth graders, and we are excited to see you on Friday for your book club groups, and we will talk about this together then as well. So bring this with you. All right, have a great day.